Christy Eichhorn. She'll be going through an En-ROADS demonstration. So Christy is an AICP certified community and regional planner. She's a graduate of the University of Nebraska and recently earned a certificate from Yale in financing and deploying clean energy. Christy started using En-ROADS in 2022 to help people understand and think about climate change and possible solutions.
Thanks, guys. So Sandra Washington was up here a little while ago and she was talking to you. And you guys remember when she said, so who, when their little dreams about growing up to be a planner? And then she said, a zoning code is a nerd's playground. So I am a planner, an urban planner by trade, and I work specifically in zoning codes, and I enjoy it. So I suppose that makes me a nerd. As an urban planner, I have been looking for solutions for a long time to help us figure out how we build cleaner, better, more resilient cities. And so in my path to do that, I came across a group called Citizens Climate Lobby, which is a volunteer organization that advocates for climate change and specifically for carbon and carbon fee and dividends. And they have some other pillars. But one of the tools that they use when they're talking to policymakers is this En-ROADS tool. And so this is your free gift for making it to the end of the day. You get cookies and you get this fantastic tool to take home with you. It is 100% free. It is online. You don't need any software to download it. And it's really useful if you're writing reports or you're talking to policymakers or you're trying to convince somebody that the numbers and the values that you're talking about are actual values without having to necessarily cite a whole bunch of white papers or articles. You can just come to this tool and then show them what you mean and why it works that way. So essentially, this tool was developed by MIT Sloan Sustainability Initiative, as well as Climate Interactive and Climate Central. It is a simulation model, so it doesn't predict the future, but what it does is it tells you if you apply different scenarios, what's going to happen. The goal of this is to try to reduce global warming. It's predicted that in 100 years it will go up by 3.3 degrees if we do nothing now. That's the status quo, if we don't make any changes. Usually when we use this tool, we try to think about how do we get it down to 1.5, or now we're thinking closer to 2 based on what the Paris Climate Agreement states. So the one thing I want to say, which is hopeful, because it's always good to end a conference with something hopeful, is that when I started using this tool almost 3 years ago, what we were trying to get down from was 3.6, not 3.3. And so we are making progress in the climate change movement and reducing our overall temperature because there is such an importance now on mitigating the impacts of climate change and doing things that are going to reduce the long-term or improve the long-term sustainability of our goals. So normally we run this program like we would kind of the scenario building exercise that you just did. You break into groups and then you work together to try to figure out how you could decrease this number to get us to 1.5. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to ask any rhetorical questions. If I ask a question, please raise your hand and give me an answer. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just so that I can randomize this experience so you know that nothing's programmed here. This is just how you would use it, even if you were in a class or just trying to figure out a scenario on your own. So somebody want to tell me what they think would be the biggest impact to reduce climate change from 3.3 to 1.5? What can we do? What is the silver bullet? Sure.
Raise the carbon price.
That is have you done this one before? So that is actually the biggest impact. And that's one of the reasons why Citizens Climate Lobby uses this particular model, is because it does show that when you increase the carbon price, it reduces our overall temperature change significantly. Do you want to tell everybody what a carbon price is and what that means?
It's just like a tax on like how much a country exports that has to do like with carbon.
So she talked about it being a tax that is placed on industries whenever whenever going abroad and whenever we have goods and services that are coming in. And through that method, that policy, then we can have a significant increase on climate change. Does anybody want to raise their hand and tell me what else we should change? Because we're not even close to 1.5 yet. Again, not rhetorical. Somebody, there you go. Decrease coal. So go down. So it's not decreasing it. This is a policy scenario. So this is going to say if we tax coal really heavily, which generally if you're going to tax it, then you're going to see a decrease in the use. So we can do that too. And that definitely made a difference, but how much of a difference did it really make? So it does, but you can see that the carbon price, for instance, is much more impactful than just highly taxing coal. Yeah. More trees. Good one. I can't see that one all the way over there. Is it this one? Deforestation. Afforestation, I got it. I cannot see from here very well, guys. Sorry. So we'll do that one, and you can see how much that changes. So let's see that change too. So that drops us that much. All right, we're not down to 1.5 yet. What else can we do? Yeah. More energy efficient buildings, energy efficiency. That one is pretty significant. And because of that, you can see why so many policymakers and the IRA, the tax incentives that are going out right now, are there to decrease the amount of energy that buildings are using. Over here. Energy efficiency of transport. We'll move that one up. And you'll notice that I'm highly increasing all of these scenarios, so I'm maxing out even the possibilities. So you could adjust these greater or smaller based on the policies and the politics of your particular region and what you think might get passed and what might not get passed. So let's see what that looks like changing. So that at least gets us down to 2.0, and that makes it pretty significant. One of the things I want to show you guys about this tool is that all of the information in it, it's very transparent. So let's go back to the carbon price, which was the very first thing that we looked at. You can put in different scenarios here for that match your real life situations. So let's just say we wanted to make that carbon price $100 a ton instead of $250. If it would let me do that. Here, let's see here. Okay. So you can change this, maybe. And see what the difference is by trying different scenarios in terms of the dollar amount that I apply. It doesn't have to be just that lever. If you want more information as to where these policies come from, where the data behind it is, I mean, that's where you really get to classify yourself as a nerd. If you want to dive deep into the numbers, you can do that too by clicking on the eye, and it tells you, it gives you examples of the policy, of the solution, where the data came from, how you can change it, and the impacts that it's going to have. So again, this is your free tool that you can take away at the end of this conference to help you continue to have conversations about climate change, to back up the data and the scenarios that you talk about. You can play with this guide and see, if you're interested in a climate change job in the future, to see where could you have the biggest impact. You might think about any of these particular categories and think about, well, is it going to help buildings be more energy efficient? Is it really in reforestation? Is it in working with policy issues, carbon prices? Is it on the business side and helping them to have plans to be more energy efficient and to reduce their carbon footprints? This tool can help you analyze the impacts that different scenarios have on the future. So that said, as you're thinking about jobs, we want to encourage you to think about climate change jobs and the impacts you can have. And if you don't know where to start, I would mention that I think it was 2 days ago, there was a press release that talked about the American Climate Corps, which is going to have 20,000 new jobs, and you don't even have to have a background in climate change or energy sciences in order to take on one of those jobs. They're building a foundation for climate work into the future. So that's En-ROADS for you, and thank you all for coming today.